Well, and here's the thing that sometimes it's crazy, but it kind of makes sense in terms of what kind of people perpetrate this stuff. So the guy that snips live babies' necks but is worried about a turtle, I know a lot of these people. I know people who have screamed at me for being pro-life, and they don't lose one wink of sleep over something like the Gosnell story, but they'll get upset if you step on an ant. There's something very dark and strange about a lot of these individuals. But let me ask this, what was up with the cats? So they're snipping the necks of babies, and a lot of these babies are literally alive and crying and screaming, and he just kills them. What I also find fascinating is, okay, we understand there's one evil monster, but there's actually many human beings surrounding him that are witnessing all of this.
No, absolutely. And people like money, people will do anything for money. And we know that the workers in there got, they got tips. They got like $200 for these late term abortions. So, they could be doing really nice. They could be making, like, some of these people who, as I said, as Jim Wood said, they wouldn't get a job in Target. Like, they wouldn't get a job mowing a lawn, and they were getting like $1,000 a night in tips, for doing all these procedures, which was these killings. It's amazing. No, you're right. I mean, one of the things that and I wrote the book about this as well. I mean, one of the things that always struck me was it was like Hannah Arendt, who was, who went to the Nuremberg trials and was asked, and wrote that extraordinary book that she wrote about it afterwards. And basically she talked about the banality of evil. And there was something very banal about it, because I know from talking to the witnesses and talking to people that were working in there, people joked. They hung out and they joked about stuff. There was a young woman there who farted, and they made these jokes. So in the middle of all of this stuff going on, everyone's having a good time. They got all this money. And he wasn't on his own. And as you said, and I love that point you've made there, because it's something that really affects me. I have two cats, by the way, which I am kind of irrational about. And I do understand people loving animals. I really get it. And I never really got it as much until I got the cats. And now I'm like, I really get it. And I mean, I've spent ridiculous money on veterinary bills and stuff like that. And I get that, but I can't understand how anyone who cares about little puppies and looks at little puppies or little kittens and gets, as you said, distressed, thinking that anything awful would happen to them, wouldn't be distressed at the death of a baby and the horrible death of a baby. And one of the things people get to hear, by the way, in the podcast, again, just to remember, is serialkillerpod.com. To go and listen to the 6 episodes. One of the things we did was they didn't allow recordings inside the courtroom, but we have the transcripts of the trial. So we had actors reenact some of the most dramatic moments in the trial. And I think it's important, because, you talked about, like, strange things that happened. I mean, like, for example, Jimmy Johnson was the janitor. And Jimmy Johnson, he's dead now, actually. He died just recently. Jimmy Johnson gave evidence in the trial and was asked, well, what did you do? Like, what kind of work did you do? Well, I was always clear on the toilets. The toilets were blocked. Oh, really? What were the toilets? Tell me about that. What was the toilets blocked with? Well, stuff. Like, what kind of stuff? Well, parts. Well, parts of what? Well, parts of babies, arms and legs. Like, he said that in a courtroom, and the world's journalists didn't think that was worth reporting on. I mean, this is an extraordinary testimony that was happening in an empty courtroom in Pennsylvania. It's like bizarre, in Philadelphia, which is not a backwater. And this is the kind of evidence like that was being heard. Evidence where people were being asked, for example, witnesses were being asked, like, Adrian Moten, for example, asked, did you ever hear baby cry? And she answered that she had heard a baby cry, and that then Gosnell had snipped the neck of that baby. And she had also taken a photograph of baby boy A, who was one of the babies that Gosnell is doing a life sentence for, a baby who shares a birthday with my own father, the 12th of July, who lived and died on that same day, but lived for quite a while and had such an impact on the people that were there that a number of people in the clinic took photographs of him. And those photographs are on the internet, by the way. The photographs of baby boy A are on the internet for you to watch and to look at if you want to, but you don't unsee that forever. And that kind of evidence was day after day. And then I think what's really interesting, I mean, as you say, there's so many interesting things here. But the reason you asked very much earlier on, why did I do this? Why did I, now I've spent years on this story, and the reason that I did this, the absolutely crystal clear reason that I did this was that the jury needed to have it explained to them what a legal abortion was, so that they would know what to be convicting this man of, because abortion is not illegal, murder is illegal. So they needed to have that really, really broken down and explained to them. And it was. And so they had two very, very experienced abortion doctors come, one of whom came and was asked, just by way of establishing their credentials, how many abortions have you done in your career? And the answer was 40,000. And the jury gasped. The jury made a noise. They made an audible noise with shock. And the judge asked him to repeat it because he got such a shock. The other abortion doctor was asked to describe a second-term abortion. And that's the reason I did. That's the reason I'm here. And that's the reason I've spent years on this, because I then heard that for the first time.
Yeah, and in your work, Anne, you say that in one part, you guys made it 30,000 just so people weren't too overwhelmed, because 40,000 is so hard to believe, yes. But it was 40,000, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
In the movie, we changed it. Yeah. We shaved it we took it down to 30,000 because
just to make it more believable.
We thought people would actually stop watching the movie, that they'd say, well, this is ludicrous. So we actually lied. We reduced the number because it had hit the jury so hard. We knew it would be the same with the movie. And we thought, you know what, we can't do it in the movie. Let's just reduce it.